Hello, everybody. It's Carl Iglesias with the preferred agent team over at Keller Realty Partners, and I wanted to shoot you out this video: rent versus buy, and how to decide in 5 steps. So let's get on with it. So again, give us a like and don't forget to subscribe, and we appreciate it. But we're going to get into this rent versus buy. So there's no doubt that buying a home is a major life decision, but is it right for you? You know, of course, there's no singular correct answer, as there are pros and cons to both renting and buying. A major factor in anyone's decision-making process comes down to finances. In most cases, renting seems to be the more affordable option. However, that's not always the case. Your decision can boil down to several lifestyle considerations, such as whether you want flexibility, stability, what your career goals are, and whether you want a place to truly call your own. If you're on the fence about whether you should rent or buy, here's what you need to consider before taking the plunge. There are pros and cons to both, but we're going to go into the pros of renting, and one of the major ones is mobility. Freedom to move around. Landlord pays for the maintenance. It doesn't require expensive closing costs. No fluctuation in monthly housing expenses, and renting also allows you to test drive different living spaces, different neighborhoods. See if it's the right place for you. Cons for renting: you don't build any equity, limited ability to customize your living space. You can't do any renovations. Rent could go up over time. Landlord might decide to sell or decide to stop renting altogether. Limited sense of home stability, permanence, and that could be heavy on your mind, So here are the pros and cons for buying, because there's pros and cons for both, but we're going to get into the pros for buying. You build equity over time. Home equity may increase over time. You may reap tax benefits. Unlimited freedom to customize your living space. I mean, you can renovate it to fit your needs. Sense of home stability, permanence. You know where you are. This is your home. You're in it for the long haul. Cons. Closing costs can be expensive. It's responsibility for maintenance and repairs, which requires time and effort. Less flexibility to move, at greater difficulty and expense anyway. Home value may decrease depending on the market. Recent tax laws could hamper tax benefits. When it comes to renting versus buying, there are pros and cons to both. But if you're on the fence, again, like I said, I'm going to go through 5 steps to help you decide. Number 1, decide how long you plan on living in the same place. In other words, are you planning on putting down roots in your community, or are you craving more flexibility? If you feel certain you'll stay in a home for at least 5 years, buying a home could make more sense. That's because, it could be a good fit both financially and emotionally. You can put personal touches on your home and really make it feel like it's yours. However, renting is the better option if you prefer to be more nomadic. You like to bounce around from place to place. You're always on the move. For example, let's just say you're really hoping to get that job promotion, but it's halfway across the country. You don't want to have to deal with the hassle of selling a home while transitioning into a new position. or perhaps you've moved into a new area and want some time to get to know the different neighborhoods before settling down somewhere. Sure, you can always buy the home and sell within a few years, but the costs are hardly worth it. Aside from the initial closing and moving costs, you may be paying more closing costs when selling a home, in addition to other costs such as repairs, renovations, that would make the house sell for top dollar. Number 2, estimate the cost of renting versus buying. In many cases, renting can be cheaper than buying a home because of the upfront costs involved. This includes down payment, closing costs, moving costs, any renovations, and other home maintenance tasks that are involved. With that said, just because you can afford a mortgage payment doesn't mean you can afford a home. Expenses add up. In addition to monthly payment, that's more than the principal and interest on your mortgage. You'll also have property taxes to pay for, homeowners insurance, in many cases mortgage insurance, as well as homeowners association fees, HOA fees, to consider. Again, on the other hand, buying a home can be cheaper in the long run, and it offers you the opportunity to build equity. Hopefully your home will increase in value when you sell the home. In most areas in the U.S., buying a home is actually cheaper, according to the National Association of Realtors report that shows, that after 6 years, a homeowner's mortgage payment is lower than that of a renter. This is assuming the rent has a 5% increase each year and the homeowner is paying a fixed monthly payment. Not only that, but there are tax savings to being a homeowner. And though the recent tax changes, there may be limits as to how much mortgage interest, state and local property taxes you can write off. But according to the same report from the National Association of Realtors, a homeowner's payment will be less than a renter's payment after 3 years. So that's another thing to consider. That's not to say you should dive right into home ownership. It's perfectly fine to rent for a few years, save up, and purchase a home if you're dead set on having a place of your own. The savings, the savings in cost of being a homeowner also assume you'll stay in a home long term and may not factor in maintenance costs. However, if you do pay off your mortgage and continue to live in your home, the savings can be significantly cheaper, even with home maintenance costs. Number 3 is, mobility versus putting down roots. Which is, what's more important? What's more important to you? As cliche as it sounds, life happens. Even with the best of intentions, it's hard to predict, what can happen next. If you intend to stay in one place for a long time and have the financial means to do so, buying a home may make more sense. However, it's important to take a look at your current life situation and think about whether or not it'll change within the next few years. Because if it does, your housing needs could also change. You may want to hold off on buying a home. Just let's for example, let's just say you and your long-term partner may have just gotten engaged, and plan on getting married within the next 2 years. In this case, you're buying a home may not make sense because you two want to figure out how to combine your finances and work out your budgeting routine before adding a home into the mix. Or let's just say you and your spouse, you just got married and you aren't sure if you want to start a family quite yet. If you have any inklings that you might want to have children soon, you should buy a home that's not going to, you don't want to, buy a home that's not going to be able to accommodate a growing family in a few years. In both cases, it might be a good idea to rent for the, for the time being, so that you have time to figure out what you want in a home, what your budgeting needs are, and what kind of home might be the best fit for your lifestyle that you hope to have in the future. Number 4, weigh the risks of renting and buying versus buying. As I mentioned before, there are risks for both renting and buying a home. Although you can build equity when buying a home, there are some financial risks. For one, you could lose money if there's a downturn in your local real estate market. If the market shifts in the wrong direction, you could take a hit. Or if you sell your home sooner than you want, you may not be able to make up for what you spent in closing costs and renovations. Let's not forget maintenance costs. These are expenses you'll need to pay to keep the home in top condition. Think about, changing air filters, cleaning out vents, testing fire alarms, landscaping, fixing plumbing and electrical issues, among other things that pop up. If you're focused on other things in your life, like a career that requires you to travel often, or you have multiple young children to attend to, adding home maintenance to your list of responsibilities may not be the best choice. On the flip side, renting means you won't have the opportunity to build equity like you would with buying. Your rent could go up at any given moment. You're also at the mercy of your landlord, such as being asked to move out or having to deal with maintenance requests being deferred. Number 5, assess your financial situation. It's important to note that you need to be realistic about your financial situation when deciding between renting and buying. Once you estimate the cost of renting versus buying, be honest about whether you can afford other upfront costs like down payment, repairs, moving costs, and buying new furniture. Consider using a mortgage calculator to estimate your monthly payments, as well as how much of a home you can afford. In either case, do some careful budgeting. And right now, so no matter what you choose, you'll be able to afford a home or rent, or at least rent. When it comes to rent, versus buy, some final thoughts. There isn't always a clear answer. There isn't always a clear answer to this question of whether to rent or buy. Depending on your life situation and finances, the answer might change over time. There are other options, such as rent to own. This is where you start out renting, then move on to becoming a homeowner. But no matter what decision you make, it's crucial to make an informed decision based on your finances. And again, when you're ready, to begin the home buying process, we're here to help. Feel free to contact us. That's why we're here. Reach out to us. Our contact information is in the description box below. And if you were on the fence, I hope that this was able to help you weigh the pros and cons and whatever works for you. And as always, we're here to help. Our contact information again is in the description box below. Feel free to like, share, subscribe. It helps us out and we really appreciate it. Again, my name is Iglesias with Keller Williams Realty Partners. I hope everyone's doing well. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll talk to you all soon. Peace out.